What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We're going to go through our draw reaction and first round picks for the Hamburg Open. Let's take a look at the draw. And here's a look at Felix Auger-Aliassime's half of the draw. First match we're going to look at is Felix against Kopriva, and no head-to-head here for these guys. This is going to be a really interesting matchup with two contrasting styles. We have Felix, he's coming in 3-3 on the clay, 3-6 last year, 17-8 the year before. His wins coming in against Galbus, a retirement by Casper Ruud, and Cilic. His losses are all straight set losses to Sinner, Blocks, and Naboni. Kopriva, on the other hand, he's 12-9 on the clay, 25-13 last year, 21-16 the year before. He's been able to notch some high quality wins against Darderi in 3 sets in Munich, Rublev in straight sets in Madrid, and Marijan in straight sets in Rome. So he's been looking pretty solid on the clay. He's got a lot of confidence. We've seen that it's kind of taken a very strong effort to take Kopriva out. Even a 7-5 set, he lost 7-5, 6-0 to Hadar, but just a close 7-5 set, really challenging Hadar and not giving him a lot of clean balls to hit. And that's something that concerns me when he goes up against somebody like Felix who likes to hit clean shots. Felix likes to kind of step in, take the ball early, and Kopriva's just going to give you a lot of not junk, but like some lower balls that are going to be harder to hit. I think Felix is going to be able to figure this game style out. I do think it might take him some time. It wouldn't surprise me if Kopriva wins a set, maybe the first, coming out there blitzing Felix a little bit. And you look at the players that Felix has lost to, he got outgrinded by Navoni. He got out hit by Blocks. Obviously out hit by Sinner. So I'm just curious how this game style of Kopriva is going to match up against him. I think it's going to be a 3-set win for Felix. I think he'll be able to figure out this game, but something tells me it's going to be a little bit trickier than we're thinking. And you guys know I love Kopriva in the underdog role. I think he plays that role very well. We'll have to look out for that at the French. But for now, give me Felix to advance in 3. Next matchup is Camille Majchrzak against Camille Ugo Carabelli. And this is going to be a really tricky matchup here. No head-to-head for these guys. Majchrzak's coming off, I believe it was a knee injury here, so we got to check the movement of Majchrzak in this match, how he's going to be feeling. We know he's a good player at just absorbing and redirecting pace, but Carabelli's not really going to give him a lot of pace to redirect, and we've seen Majchrzak struggle a little bit, whether it was with against Halis or Trungelliti, and then Djokovic making a little bit of a quick adjustment after losing that first set. We saw him struggle when there isn't a lot of pace to redirect, and I think this is going to be a very tricky match, especially, you don't want to be coming into a match against Carabelli where your movement is restricted. Majchrzak's coming in. He's 1-1 on the clay. One loss to Trungelliti in Marrakesh, but was able to beat Juan Manuel Cerundolo in the first round of that tournament. 12-7 last year, 34-8 the year before, so he does enjoy playing on the clay. Carabelli, on the other hand, he's 13-8 this year, 27-14 last year, 52-24. Carabelli's coming off a loss in the Valencia Challenger, 6-1, 6-1 to Kecmanovic. A little bit of a surprise there, but we know Kecmanovic can really rope the ball, so potentially he was able to hit through Carabelli. Carabelli did notch a nice win over Berrettini in straight sets in that Valencia Challenger. There's not really much that I want to talk about here because we just haven't seen Majchrzak play. So I'm going to pick Carabelli to advance. I think it's going to be straight sets. Wouldn't surprise me if Majchrzak was able to push a little bit, but we just don't know how he's moving. So give me Carabelli to advance here. And this next match has tricky written all over it. Tiafoe taking on Diego Dedura. And we've talked about Dedura, how he kind of floats around the challenger level, but when it's his time to come in and rise to the occasion, he tends to really push some of these players, especially on home soil. We saw him in Munich being able to go a tough 6-4, 7-5 match with Cobolli, who's been playing some phenomenal clay court tennis. Remember, Cobolli able to make it out to the finals of Munich. So Dedura just he's tough when he's got the crowd behind him. And this match, to me, I think is going to be a high-flying match for him. He's going to come out and he's definitely going to bring everything he can. Dedura's coming in. He's 19-8 on the clay, 25-22 last year, 34-16 the year before. He's coming off a loss to Lucas Neumeier in the Zagreb Challenger, 6-4, 6-4. Tiafoe, on the other hand, he's 3-2 on the clay, 11-7 last year, 5-6 the year before. He's coming off a loss to Pellegrino, 7-6, 6-1. Now, guys, do I think Tiafoe's going to lose this match? No. I think Tiafoe is playing some good tennis. Obviously, I thought Pellegrino did such a great job of just adjusting his game to the different things that Tiafoe was throwing at him. And then, obviously, Tiafoe with that tough loss to Tommy Paul in the Houston semifinals. I think this is going to be a three-setter. I think this is going to surprise everyone. I think Dedura is going to come out, and he's going to really be firing from all cylinders. I think he's going to feel the nerves a little bit if he gets some opportunities to potentially win this match. We know that Tiafoe feeds off of that. He loves these big moments. Even if the crowd is entirely against him, he plays extremely well. So I'm going to pick Tiafoe here to advance. It's going to be Tiafoe in 3 sets. This next one is going to be another tough match. Guys, these are all first-time meetings, so really interesting and really fun to see a lot of these guys playing each other for the first time. How they're going to match up against each other, we'll have to find out. Mensik against Struff. And Struff hasn't been playing great clay court tennis, but we know that he can turn it on at any time. So that's what worries me about this match here. No head-to-head for these guys. Mensik's coming in. He's 2-2 on the clay. 6-5 last year, 6-4 the year before. Mensik's 2 wins coming in against Martin Dam and Karen Khachanov. Neither guy playing great clay court tennis. His 2 losses are a 3-set loss to Zverev and a 3-set loss to Alexei Popyrin in Rome. Struff is 2-4 on the clay. 5-8 last year, 15-5 the year before. Struff's 2 wins coming against Komasana and Mueller. We know Mueller hasn't been playing that well. I think he's got some injury. I'm not sure. And then Komasana has had a little bit of a letdown from a good season last year. The 4 losses for Struff are most recently in the Valencia Challenger to Verona of Spain, a 3-setter. Lehechka in straights, but a tough straight setter, 6-7, 6-3. Mickelson in straights, which was a big-time head-scratcher. And Basilashvili in straights in the qualifiers of Monte Carlo. We've seen Basilashvili. He's playing some pretty solid tennis now. Mickelson's the only loss that really just, I guess, Verona too, but that was a 3-setter. The Mickelson loss really has me scratching my head, and that was the one that I sat and watched, and I was like, what is happening here? Struff does not look good at all. He didn't even look like he wanted to be there. We've talked about Struff. He's had some injuries that he's been recovering from. So, potentially maybe there are some ailments that have been irking him. I got to go with Mensik here. But, guys, there is totally a possibility where if Struff comes out and he's serving really well and he's hitting that forehand, that he can run through Mensik. However, I just think that it's going to be Mensik absorbing a lot of the pace, forcing some of the errors on Struff, making him move a little bit more. So give me Mensik to advance here in 3 sets. Next matchup is Engel against Humbert, and no head-to-head here for these guys either. Both guys with only 2 wins on the clay. We got Justin Engel. He's 2-7 on the clay, 11-14 last year, 32-12 the year before. He's coming off a loss in the Zagreb Challenger to Luka Mikrut of Croatia in 3 sets. Humbert, he's 2-3 on the clay, 2-5 last year, 5-7 the year before. He's coming off a straight set loss to Prismic in Rome. Engel's the type of guy, though, that I feel like he's going to be able to rise to the occasion, maybe a little bit. I don't know if he's going to win this match. But the match that kind of sticks in my head is the one that he lost to in Munich to Kopriva. He got a wild card into that tournament as well. And that was a 3-setter. And he was leading in that second set. I believe Kopriva broke back. And then Engel was able to hold on for a 7-5 second set win. but he was really using the crowd to get into the match. And that's something that I think this crowd's going to will him maybe to a set. I just can't see him winning. I mean, this is a guy that's been mostly on challenger levels. He's only won 2 matches. His 2 wins have been against Shelba of Jordan in 3 sets and Torre of Spain in 3 sets. So, he hasn't gotten a big-time win. This would be a massive win for Justin Engel. And then you got Humbert, who's been floating around the Masters Series. His wins coming against Kwame and Kopriva. His losses to Yannick Sinner, only winning 3 games. Terence Atmane, 7-6, 7-6. And we know Atmane's been playing some very solid tennis. And Prismic in straight sets. So I'm going to pick Humbert here. I think it's going to be straight sets. I'll say straight sets. It wouldn't surprise me if Engel won a set. But I'm going to pick Humbert to advance in 2 very tight sets. Our next match is the number 5 seeded Khachanov against Kecmanovic. And head-to-head here is 1-0 for Khachanov. He was able to beat Kecmanovic in 2019 in Halle. That's on grass. 7-6, 6-4. Not sure how much weight we can put into that. 1, it was so long ago, and 2, it was on a different surface. Kecmanovic is coming in. He's 5-4 right now on the clay. 5-7 last year. 6-7 the year before. Kecmanovic able to make it to the semifinals of the Valencia Challenger. And he's actually in the finals tomorrow playing Vallejo. So, 1, we got to take a look at how the Kecmanovic body is going to hold up here. I think that's a big-time factor because this match is going to be played, obviously not tomorrow, but probably Monday. So Kecmanovic isn't going to have much time to recover, and he's got to travel immediately to get there to play Khachanov. This is a very tough situation, but he did have some really nice wins. A straight set win over Budkov Kair, straight set win over Reedy, straight set win over Carabelli, 6-1, 6-1. Very impressive there. And a straight set win over Tabilo. So Kecmanovic's looking really good, and he's boosted that clay court record to 5-4. Now he's got a winning record on the clay. Khachanov, on the other hand, he's 4-4 on the clay, 9-6 last year, 8-4 the year before. Khachanov has not had a losing record on the clay since 2021, where he was 5-6. Khachanov's coming off a tough 3-set loss to Casper Ruud. Remember, there was a lot of rain delays there. Rain delay in the second set. Khachanov comes out. He's blasting balls through Ruud. Ruud's able to weather the storm a little bit and get some more of the errors. We see Khachanov pull back his game, his offensive game a little bit, which I thought was really interesting. And he loses that third set 6-2 to Casper Ruud. But on the way there, Khachanov was able to beat Shevchenko, Bodek van de Zandschulp, who has been playing some good clay court tennis, and Dino Prismic, who we know has been playing some solid tennis, beating Djokovic and Shelton in the last 2 tournaments. I'm going to go with Khachanov here, just based on the fact that Kecmanovic is playing a final tomorrow of a challenger, and then he's got to travel and play either Monday. Maybe they give him the Tuesday start, but a tournament like this, they can't really delay anything further because you got the French Open coming right up against you on Sunday. So I think Khachanov's going to win this match. I think it's going to be a little bit tricky for him. Kecmanovic obviously playing some solid tennis. If he had maybe a few more days to recover, I think I'd lean a little bit more towards Kecmanovic. But I got to go Khachanov. I think he's going to win in straight sets. Here's a look at Felix's half of the draw with our picks. And, before we even lock in these qualifiers, guys, I'm so confused why Caboli's playing this tournament. I get it. He's probably wants to hit the ground running, but he's played a lot of clay court tennis. I really think he should let the body rest and be ready to go for the French. Perhaps he's trying something a little bit different compared to last year. Maybe he felt like he was coming in a little bit cold to the French Open. So maybe he's trying just a different approach here to see if he can make a better run there. And just looking at this draw, I kind of like Tiafoe to get out to a semifinal. If Caboli still remains in this draw, I like him to also get out and face Tiafoe. So that would be a really fun semifinal. I don't know how much I trust Felix on the clay right now. If it was a Felix Tiafoe quarterfinal, that'd be a really fun match. But I would pick Tiafoe to advance over Felix. I like what I've seen from Francis a little bit better on the clay than I have Felix thus far. But let me know what you guys think. Post your picks in the comments. Here's a look at Shelton's half of the draw. First match we're going to talk about is Darderi against Burruchaga. And obviously we saw Darderi with a heroic run to the semifinals of Rome, losing to Casper Ruud. We will do an update here, guys, once the qualifiers are in. I would be kind of surprised if Darderi stayed in this draw. I think he needs a little bit more time to recover. Pushing his body this much before the French Open, I think, is just a big no-no. So we'll see how he does, especially against a guy like Burruchaga, who's just going to grind you in all these points. Now, a healthy Darderi 100% can beat Burruchaga, but a Darderi that's coming out the Darderi we saw against Casper Ruud is going to have a tough time against Burruchaga. Head-to-head here is 1-0 for Darderi. He was able to beat Burruchaga in a Brazil Challenger 6-1, 6-3 back in 2023. Darderi's coming in. He's 14-7 on the clay, 30-11 last year, 34-15 the year before. As we mentioned before, he made it out to the semifinals of Rome, beating Hanfmann, Tommy Paul, Zverev, and Hadar. Just a really unreal run for him. Hopefully that gets his confidence going. Burruchaga, on the other hand, is 18-8 on the clay, 51-25 last year, 40-24 the year before. He's coming off a second-round loss to Juan Manuel Cerundolo in the Bordeaux Challenger. And let's not forget that he had a first-round loss to Bellucci, 6-4, 6-4, and that was a little bit of a surprise for me, especially after that run that he had in Houston, losing a tough three-setter to Tommy Paul, where he did have chances to win that match. I'm going to go with Darderi here, guys. I just think he has the game. He's playing with a lot of confidence. I really do question the physicality and the recovery of Darderi if he's going to be able to play this match. But I'm going to go with Darderi to advance in straight sets. Next match is Hanfmann against Fonseca, and no head-to-head for these guys here. We got Hanfmann. He's coming in at 9-5 on the clay, 17-12 last year, 12-15 the year before. He's coming off a loss to Darderi, 6-4, 6-4 in the second round of Rome. Fonseca, 6-6 on the clay, 8-5 last year, 14-11 the year before. He's coming off a tough three-set loss in the second round to Majchrzak in Rome. And Fonseca, he didn't have a great South American clay swing, and that's kind of where we have a lot of those losses. He does have 4 losses here, but he has 6 wins as well, 1 being a walkover. Had a nice run in Monte Carlo, beating Diallo, Rinderknecht, Berrettini, and losing in 3 tough sets to Zverev. We kind of thought he was going to have a little bit of a better clay season just based on that result, but it really hasn't panned out. Beat Rinderknecht again, beat Tabilo, who's playing decent clay court tennis, but somebody that Fonseca should be beating consistently. Loses to Ben Shelton in the quarterfinals of Munich. Loses to Rafa Hadar in the third round of Madrid, and then capping it off with a loss to Majchrzak in Rome. All 3 of these guys are playing pretty good tennis. I just feel like that Fonseca should not be 0-3 against those guys. He should have gotten at least 1 win against one of those guys. Coming in here, I like his chances against Hanfmann. Hanfmann having a nice win over Hurkacz in Rome, and then a straight set loss to Darderi. Remember, he had played Darderi in the Chile Open final, and that was a very closely contested match. We thought maybe Hanfmann would be able to have some revenge on his mind, but Darderi having that incredible run in Rome, making it out to the semifinals. Haven't seen much good tennis from Hanfmann so far in the European clay swing. A walkover loss to Darderi and Marrakesh, a straight set loss to Blocks, and then a straight set loss to Cerundolo in Madrid after beating Giron in 3 sets. I think if Fonseca even brings the B plus A minus game, he's going to be able to get through here pretty handily. Hanfmann does have some power. He moves very well on the clay. He trusts his game on the clay. So that is something, if Fonseca comes with a little bit of a lower level, it might be a closer match. But I'm going to go with Fonseca to advance here. Let's say Fonseca in straight sets. Next match, we have Davidovich Fokina against Moutet. Head-to-head here is 3-0 for Fokina, and he has not dropped a set to Moutet. Beat him in 2020 in Rome, 6-1, 6-2. 2021 in Rome again, 6-4, 7-6. And then in 2025, they played in Toronto. It was a 6-4, 6-3 win for Fokina. And Davidovich Fokina is coming in. He's 2-2 on the clay this year. Coming 9-6 last year, 2-5 the year before, coming off a loss in straight sets to Rublev in Rome. Moutet, on the other hand, he's 3-5 on the clay this year, 10-9 last year, 22-15 the year before, and he's coming off a tough 3-set loss to Llamas Ruiz in Rome. And definitely not the clay season that Moutet has been hoping for. A loss to Trungelliti in the quarterfinals of Marrakesh. A loss to Casper Ruud in straight sets of Monte Carlo. A straight set loss to Musetti in Barcelona. A straight set loss to Merida in Madrid. And then a 3-set loss to Llamas Ruiz. So obviously we can be seeing a lot better tennis from Moutet. And it makes sense that he would want to play this tournament going into the French Open, maybe get some momentum going. Do I think he's going to be able to? I think he got a tough draw here. Fokina's only played 4 matches. His 2 wins against Christian Garin and Correna Busta. His 2 losses against Rublev and Casper Ruud. I think he's going to be able to take care of Moutet. I think this is going to be a 3-setter. I know Moutet's never won a set against Fokina, but I think this will be the closest match they've played. Fokina hasn't showed us good tennis on the clay thus far. Yes, he's beaten a couple of decent players, but Moutet's so crafty. He's got the drop shots. He's gonna challenge the Fokina movement. So I'm gonna go with Fokina to win here in 3 sets. Next match is Francisco Cerundolo against Alex de Minaur. And what a tough draw for Alex de Minaur, getting Cerundolo in the first round. This is going to be a really great match. Probably the best match of the entire first round. Head-to-head is 1-1 for each of these guys. They played twice last year. First meeting was in the Australian Open. It was a 5-7, 7-6, 6-3, 6-3 win for Alex de Minaur in the third round. Then they played a few months later at Indian Wells, and Cerundolo was able to win 7-5, 6-3. Keep in mind those Indian Wells courts are a little bit slower, so maybe the slower pace does seem to favor Cerundolo. Gives him time to step around and hit that forehand, because we know that forehand extremely lethal when Cerundolo can get a hold of it. Francisco Cerundolo, he's 13-6 on the clay this year, 21-11 last year, 21-13 the year before. De Minaur, on the other hand, is 3-4 on the clay this year, 10-5 last year, 10-5 the year before. He's had some consistent results, but has a losing record so far on the clay. De Minaur's coming off a 3-set loss to Arnaldi, and this was a tricky loss. You got Arnaldi, who's coming off winning in a challenger event, has all the confidence in the world, is able to get through this match against Alex de Minaur. De Minaur also had a tough matchup in Madrid against Hadar, where he lost 6-3, 6-1, and then another tough matchup in Barcelona where he lost to Majchrzak. So he's played some decent clay quarters. I would say the Arnaldi match is probably the most inexcusable from de Minaur, but for me, a lot of de Minaur's game is predicated on him getting some type of rhythm on the surface and becoming a little bit more comfortable on it. If you come out in your first match, you're trying to get used to the surface, trying to get used to the balls, trying to get used to the atmosphere. Madrid, very high altitude, ball moves a little bit faster, and the player is just kind of like oozing with confidence. It's much more difficult for de Minaur to hang. Struff, on the other hand, is coming off a straight-set loss to Musetti. That was a very tough match there. He did beat Tabilo in the second round of Rome. This is a really tricky matchup. in my opinion, and I gotta go with Cerundolo. He's shown us so much better clay court tennis than what de Minaur has shown us. Now, can Alex de Minaur win this match? For sure, but I don't know if he's going to be able to step it up and play against the forehand of Cerundolo. So this is Cerundolo all the way for me. Give me Cerundolo to advance in 3 sets. And this next match has tricky written all over it. We got Tommy Paul taking on Ethan Quinn. Head-to-head is 2-0 for Tommy Paul. Played Ethan Quinn in 2023 on the grass of Newport, won 6-4, 6-2. Then they played last year in Dallas, indoor hard court. Tommy Paul was able to win 6-4, 5-7, 6-4. Tommy Paul's coming in. He's 6-2 on the clay. 12-4 last year, 10-4 the year before. Ethan Quinn is 7-6 on the clay, 11-6 last year, 2-7 the year before. He's improving a lot on the clay, and I think a lot of this has to do with just finding his confidence in his movement and being able to find that forehand consistently. Something that a lot of these players, like your Terrence Atmans, your Francisco Cerundolos, have been able to do. So Quinn's just got to trust that movement, getting around and hitting that forehand. Ethan Quinn's coming off a 3-set loss to Llamas Ruiz. And remember, he did make the semifinal of Provence the week before, and we kind of thought he was going to challenge Llamas Ruiz. I did pick Llamas Ruiz to advance there, but I thought Quinn was going to put up a little bit more resistance, which he did. Tommy Paul is coming off a 3-set loss to Darderi, and of course in Rome, we know Darderi made that magical run to the semifinals. Tommy Paul did win Houston, remember, beating Burruchaga in the final there. Burruchaga with chances to close it out and just wasn't able to. A tough fight from Tommy Paul. And I found it interesting, Tommy Paul lost early in Madrid to Taranti, straight set loss, and he went back to the States, which is generally frowned upon. Usually a lot of the Americans like to stay here, train in Europe, get used to the clay, but Tommy Paul wanted to go back home, reset, and get ready to get back into the clay season. Lerner Tien did the exact same thing, and both these guys came back and played with a purpose. I liked what I saw from Tommy Paul against Vukic in his first round against in Rome, and then he pushed Darderi. He was up a set and a break, and Darderi was able to come back and beat him. But good tennis for me from Tommy Paul so far. This is going to be a 3-set in my opinion. I think Tommy Paul's going to prevail. I love taking Tommy Paul in these tougher matches because I know he's such a gamer. He likes to play these closer matches. So I'm going to go Tommy Paul to advance in 3. Wouldn't surprise me if Ethan Quinn won, but I just think it's going to take a very big effort from Quinn to get through this one. Give me Tommy Paul in 3 sets. Next match is a rematch of the second round of Monte Carlo. We have Etcheverry taking on Terrence Atmane. Etcheverry able to win in Monte Carlo 3-6, 6-3, 6-2. And I remember talking to you guys about this match. This was where we saw Atman's legs kind of give out a little bit, trying to step around and hit that forehand so many times. And we know Etcheverry, he's a wall. He will be out there however many hours he has to be. He'll just sit back and just get every ball back and just work you and work you and work you until you're too exhausted that you can't go on any further. And that's kind of what we saw towards the end. Atman started to slow down a little bit. Etcheverry was able to get more balls to the backhand, and he's able to win that match in 3. This is going to be really interesting, especially considering, and you guys know I love it, the revenge factor here. We got a few weeks now down the road. Atman's playing a little bit better tennis, and Etcheverry has had a couple of frustrating losses. We got Etcheverry coming in. He's 15-6 on the clay, 9-14 last year, 19-13 the year before. And his frustrating loss to Bellucci in 3 sets in Rome, definitely was expecting a little bit more from him there. Atman, on the other hand, he's coming in 4-5 on the clay this year, 3-4 on the clay last year, 5-5 the year before. He hasn't had a winning season since 2023, where he was 26-15, but a lot of those were ITF and challenger level tournaments. Atman's coming off a tough 3-set loss to Drogwe in the Bordeaux Challenger. he did play in Rome as well, where he was able to beat Zizou Bergs in straight sets and lost in straights to Carabelli. The one match that really stands out to me, of course, is the Barcelona match against Arthur Fils, where Atmane really pushed Fils to the limit. Now, this was Fils' first clay match, but Fils did go on to win that tournament and make a run to the semifinals of Madrid. So I really liked the clay court tennis that Fils was playing. Obviously, it took him a little bit to get adjusted to it, but I thought Atmane played some really strong tennis there. I'm going to go with Terence Atmane to get the revenge here. And I know it kind of sounds crazy. I'm picking a guy that's only got 4 wins on the clay compared to a guy that's got 15 of them. A guy that's already won a 500 in Rio. But I just gotta go with the revenge factor. I like Terence Atmane. I like the way he's been playing. The forehand is always extremely strong. I think he's gonna come out with a better plan today to kind of get through the match, potentially in straight sets here against Etcheverry. So give me Atmane to advance in 2 tough sets. And here's a look at Shelton's half of the draw with our picks. Still waiting on those qualifier spots to be filled. I'm kind of thrilled that we were able to get through this in about 30 minutes, so really happy about that. Looking at this draw, I like Shelton's chances to get out. I would love to see a Tommy Paul Ben Shelton quarterfinal. I think that would be really fun to see going into the French Open. And I like Fonseca on the other side to get through to the semi there. I don't really see much coming from Fokina or Cerundolo. Darderi, I would be surprised if he's able to stay in this draw. I think he's got to let the body rest after that tough Rome tournament, but we'll see how he does. We know, and we've said this over and over again, Darderi is a tank. This guy can recover fast. We've seen him win back-to-back challenger level tournaments. Now, this is a little bit different, but I think Fonseca will be able to take care of him in the round of 16. So I like Fonseca to advance out to the semis, and Fonseca-Shelton in the semifinals. That would be a really fun match. Rematch of what we saw in Munich. I don't know. I kind of like Fonseca to take that one, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. Post your picks in the comments. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We have another video out for the Geneva Open. We will have videos out recapping each day of the tournament and going through our picks for the next day. We also have a French Open preview out going through some of the top contenders there, so definitely make sure you check that video out. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.